Footy Talk podcast for your Thursday. Daisy Thomas here, and as always on a Thursday, I am joined by my good mate, wine enthusiast, Kilda East superstar player, Heath Shaw.
One and zip, the
One and-
Cougars.
Oh.
Thanks for having me, Dale. Yep. Started off the year like we did last year. I was 5 and zip at one point, the East Kilda Cougars, and now 1-0. Although it wasn't one-way traffic and it wasn't easy.
Well, there you go. Nothing that is worth having is easy in this life, Heath. You can write that down. Nobody really cares about East Kilda, so we will move on from that and we'll talk about the big games and how good footy is. Round one was awesome. The appetite for it, there were sellouts everywhere. We then had the Easter weekend. We saw a Good Friday clash between the Blues and the Kangaroos. People everywhere.
Public holidays everywhere.
We've gone to Adelaide for gather round, and oh boy, did we gather. And now we come up for the Anzac Day clashes over from Friday through to Tuesday. How good is footy?
It is good, Dale, but talking about not caring, I'm not caring about the scheduling of the AFL on Friday night football.
Thursday night, usually we preview a game, but there's no Thursday night footy.
There's
You're
no
flat on
Thursday.
it. You're not happy.
It's great. Thursday night footy is great.
As a
I know-
player, it is.
Yeah, it is. It's super. And we've had, 5 rounds of that, and then the AFL just take it away from us because it is a long weekend. You're getting all the way to Tuesday for Anzac Day.
Do people
But-
have to go to work with real jobs on Monday? Or do you get a long
most
weekend?
most people call in sick.
Just
don't
take a sickie.
Yeah,
But they
yeah.
do.
But they do,
It's an
yeah.
official work day.
Technically,
That
yes.
sucks.
But back to what I was saying
Yeah,
about not
sorry.
really caring, because there's a game on and it's in Perth and it's on 8:10, and it is Fremantle versus the Western Bulldogs, which maybe at the start of the year when they were doing the schedule seemed like a good idea.
2 and 3, both those sides now, not so much.
Not so much. And I don't think if you've got something else on Friday night and it's going to overlap at 8:10, I think you'll be doing that.
Wherever that dinner may be. I just, as we're talking there about you saying Thursday night was good, I used to love, we only played a few of them, obviously the season opener at the Blues, but then you got the rest of the weekend off, which was the best part. You could do your recovery Friday and then you got yourself a long weekend. I think I've uncovered the secret as to why the Saints are flying. They are given the next 2 days off post-game.
Well, that's a rarity.
They just every week, so their days.
Modern day football.
How good? Imagine what would happen if we were given 2 days off after
Well-
every game we played.
Well, that R word you said, recovery, I don't think that'd be happening.
No.
But yeah, it makes sense. And we used to do this at the Giants, which it annoyed me at the start.
Mm-hmm.
The day after the game, we'd have to drive out to near Blacktown for recovery when we had this beautiful, well, I did anyway because I lived in the east, this beautiful beach about 15 minutes away. The water's just as cold there as it is probably in an ice bath.
Not everyone was getting
Western
paid
Sydney.
ridiculous cash up there.
But
Well,
that's-
actually,
but-
most of them were.
But sitting in a car and driving 45
Yeah.
minutes and then jumping in an ice bath for 10 and then driving 45 minutes back, it didn't make any sense. And I was very swift in getting that changed, and we spent a lot of time at Bronte Pool.
So did you get days off after that, or it was just one day off during the week? Because my understanding is the Saints get the 2 days off and then they just train with half days and full days for the rest of the week.
We'd do the recovery in the morning, and then you'd probably have, if it was Friday,
Yeah, GWS didn't play Friday
No.
games, so don't lie
if
to
it
me.
was Sunday afternoon, we'd go in Monday, and then you probably Tuesday off, back Wednesday.
All right.
Yeah, so only one day. So having 2 days off, it's mate, rest and recovery. It's the modern day
I love
footballer.
it.
It's not every day you're in there improving every day. You need to sleep, you need to rest the body and the mind, because the mind is the most important thing.
Look at you go.
It's 80% above the shoulders. I was going to say 87% for some reason. It's 80% above the shoulders.
You're
So
stuttering.
train the mind as much as you train your body, Dale.
Your stammering that probably lost some credibility in the fact that you're rolling out a decent stat.
It was a great stat. I'm spewing on that one now.
The Friday night's clash, obviously no Thursday night, is Fremantle. Now, Nat 5, excuse me, and Nat 5 has, we are being told in a breaking news, being sent an NF-style boot imported from the US by my
NFL.
good friends.
NFL.
What did I
style.
say?
NF.
Sorry, there's an L on the end of
Yeah,
that. I forgot
that's
that.
the league.
The National Football.
Yeah.
The league's also helping him. Are sending him a custom-made pair of boots. We had custom boots. My Adidas, it was called. They were brilliant. Why do more players not have custom boots? It's hard to believe in the day and age that we have with all these money spent around the world and around the club in different areas. Why players wouldn't be getting specialist boots.
Dale, I have zero idea why.
Do you think they should?
Tool that you have apart from your actual body, which is attached to you, is your football boots.
That's the only one you're allowed to have any choice over what
Yes,
you use.
Your football boots,
Yep.
which is you're kicking. It's called football, and you're kicking the ball with these boots
with your foot.
And yet, most of these players getting boots off the shelf. Maybe put a heel raised in there, maybe some orthotics. But why wouldn't you get or spend the money on the most important part of your body when you're playing football, apart from your mind, which is your feet, and make sure that you're doing everything right to be comfortable and make sure you do not get injured. I think back in the day when Adidas did the My Adidas and you stood on that little plate
that read the bottom of your foot, the shape of the foot, the contours, your arches.
Everything like that. And it made it comfortable for you. And obviously that's what Adidas have done in the US and sent them over. So I don't understand why more players who have feet issues are not just getting a pair of boots off the shelf, putting an orthotic in there. They're actually getting them molded to their feet. I think we should come up with a company.
We should.
$500, $600 a pair of boots.
Yep.
And we do all that sort of stuff that they did, My Adidas, and then we sell it. You can whatever colour you want.
You come up with it, and I'll just put my name to it. I like the sound of that. Of course, Fife has been battling plantar fasciitis, which is obviously the bottom part of your foot, which hurts a great deal if you have it. So crippling sort of stuff there. Do you ever remember seeing Big Sanderlands' boots? Did you ever play against?
I don't think they were boots. I think they were boats.
Mate, those. I remember my first pre-season competition game over at Subiaco, and he was playing, and he pushed me over, and I got up and I wanted to sledge him, and the only thing I could think about was his boots. They looked like school shoes that had been molded together with 3 pairs because his foot was so freaking long. His foot would have been, I don't know what actual size, but it would have nearly been up near a 20.
You could fit a small child in that boot, I think, and then send it down the river like a boat.
I'm not sure why you'd want to send small children down the river. Adelaide on fire. We saw that to open up Gather Round. And Rochelle, we've all been wondering what's going on with his celebration. It looked like something we've seen before, and it's been confirmed.
Yeah, it has. Some people said Rocky Balboa, just like a bit of fighting, a bit of boxing, a bit of 1-2, left, right, slip, right, sort of set up. But apparently, the Australian soccer legend Tim Cahill.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because he used to punch the crap out of the corner post.
Yeah, he ran to the corner post. He used to 1-2 and then finish it off and knock it out of the ground. So apparently it was inspired by him as a small forward, dangerous small forward, very similar. And the rumour has it that after
all talk
the game last week where they beat Carlton, a few of the Adelaide boys went out to a little nightclub and he's done the old open up the dance floor, guys.
Part the seas.
And he was doing the Timmy Cahill in the middle of the dance floor. So everyone knew exactly who it was.
We love that. We absolutely love that. And the Blues, this is another one we need to talk about. After Gather Round, allegedly spent $1 million at Penfolds.
Oh, I did read this. That sounds really outrageous.
Well, it does, because that's a lot of pennies.
It's a lot of pennies, but they had a whole coterie group go over. Yeah. I think there was 280 people.
Yes.
And on average, I've already done the maths for you, Dale, don't worry. It's $3,500 to $4,000 per person spent. So technically, if you're going to Penfolds, you're buying probably 5 or 6 bottles of wine.
Have you left a zero off that? Just off the top of my head, 3,000 times 200 only.
286 people times, say, $4,000.
Righto. And I'm going to get my calculator up and do this.
4 times 200 is 10,000. Put a zero in the end, and that's $1 million. Pretty good, eh?
No, I don't know how you got there. Give me the numbers again. 286?
286
times 4,000?
Times 4,000.
Oh, that's 1.14. So they got a bargain.
Yeah, they got a discount because they spent so much. But
that's still a fair bit of piss to drink $4,000 worth.
Oh, I totally agree.
That's 4 bottles of Grange per person.
Yeah, the Penfolds would have been pretty happy with that. The sales that weekend. Imagine the meeting on Monday. How did we go on the weekend, guys?
Sorry, someone stuffed up the balances here because this says that function cost $1 million.
And then Penfold said, "I can't wait for Gather Round next year."
It's all good stuff. Hey, there's plenty of footy to come as we spoke about. So up next, we'll preview the big game and look forward to Anzac days. And I'm sure you've got a story because, as you tell me most times around this time, you did win an Anzac medal. This is the Footy Talk podcast. You're listening to the Footy Talk podcast. If you have a question, get on the Instagram at @footytalk_pod or jump on TikTok at Footy Talk Pod, and you can join the conversation with anything you want. We'll talk about it. We were talking about footy boots and personalised shoes Well, we did get the producer in area saying that Athlete's Foot might have already come up with that idea.
How long ago?
I don't know. I still think that's a bit of work in progress there. The big game, Anzac Day, it is an unbelievable game. You were fortunate enough to play in a fair few of them. Outside the grand final and prelim finals, it is the game that every player wants to play in.
Yeah, and it's even been said that a few players have, when on the trade table, have wanted to go to Collingwood and or Essendon to play in this game, Dale, because it is such a special occasion and the spotlight is on everyone, all those 44 players that are playing that day. The whole football world is watching, and it is absolutely an amazing day. I know Mick Malthouse at times made us go to the dawn service the morning
shrine,
of the game because he was very much, he loved his war.
Historian of it.
And definitely, and the mateship as well, which he brought up.
The word he couldn't say, camaraderie.
Camaraderie?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm pretty sure the word's pronounced camaraderie, and he always just used to call it camaraderie.
Yeah, he was just a bit lazy. But yeah, it is a great game, and obviously it's going to be the final game of the weekend, which everyone will be looking forward to. There's a couple of good games on the weekend, Geelong, Sydney, Carlton, St Kilda, but everyone's waiting for Tuesday.
You were good enough to win the Anzac Day medal. In terms of the accolades across your career, where does that sit?
Yeah, it's probably below the premiership. It's the number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Premiership would be 1. Yeah. So if you're under 1, you're 2.
Yeah, it's an amazing day. And like I said, you don't go out there to win the medal and want to win the medal. You just go out there because you want to win the game and play well. And Mick always said he wants you got to play well in big games.
Yep.
Or he won't pick you come finals time. So that was always in the back of my head. And to be honest, started off the game 12 possessions in the first quarter, playing on James Hird.
Who'd won 3 of them, the equal most with our good mate Scotty Embleby.
Yep. Has he really? Okay,
Yeah,
sweet.
3 each.
And yeah, so I was in the box seat, and the thing was, Mick just said, "You're playing on. If James Hird's playing forward, you're on him.
Yep.
I just want you to beat him and then run off him." And that's pretty much what I did, and ended up with 35-ish. They were etching my name in at half time. And yeah, it was a great day. And then after that game, went to the pub with a good mate of mine, Ben Johnson. And we just sat at the La Puente Hotel, had a few beers, and just talked about the game and how good.
Where do you keep? It's obviously, as you said, your number 2 underneath your premiership medallion. Where do you keep it?
Yeah, all my footballing memorabilia is at my mum and dad's house.
Okay.
They've got it locked away in a cupboard somewhere so no one can see it. Pretty standard procedure. But no, it is right up there. It's a pretty special medal on a special day. And you didn't win one, Dave?
I didn't win one, no. Norm Smith, I should have. Probably should have won one of these.
So you're not in the
I'm not in the club,
You're
no.
not in the club.
I'm not, no. I had a chance to win one at the Blues when we played against St Kilda on Anzac Day as well.
Oh, yeah?
But I didn't win it there either.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, okay. So you didn't join the club?
So I didn't join the club, no.
I messaged Paul Seedsman the morning of an Anzac Day game.
Yes.
And I said to him exactly that. I go well today, mate. Join the club. And he won it that day.
He did, out on the...
Old Steedsman?
Old Steedo, out on the wing there. He was dominant. Pendles, of course, he lifts for these occasions.
He does. And he just, I think Swanee says it all the time. He just plays well every week.
It's annoying.
And the difference between his best and his worst game is not much. So he puts himself in the box seat to get it done. So and there's no doubt he'll be thereabouts on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, he's playing some unbelievable footy. The other big talking point and one of the big things at the minute is the tackling and what people are getting suspended for. I'm very much pro player in everything I do and talk about, but I don't understand what the AFL are expecting of players. Yes, they don't want them to sling them to the ground, but how else do you then bring someone down who's bigger than you? There's like a thing called physics and gravity that takes over at some point.
Yep. Stronger.
These players aren't getting injured as such. I understand the look of it, but what else are you meant to do? If you're on your knees and you're bringing someone down, how else do you get them to the ground?
I think over the last 2 weeks, it was probably one out of the 6 someone was injured.
Yeah.
Like concussed.
And I'm like, I get that we want to look after the concussion, we want to look after the brain. I'm big on that. Don't get me wrong. But if this cost you a final or a grand final,
Brownlow
or a Brownlow for a tackle, and this weekend we got Zach Merritt and
you're doing the right thing. You're tackling, which I didn't like doing at all.
Yeah, well, you'd be fine.
I'd be fine.
This would be another excuse for you not to.
I'd be right up there in the Brownlow medal contention because there might only be 10 or 15 players left
by the end of the year.
By the end of the year. But it's a good point because I looked at Tom Green one, and that was it was fairly aggressive tackle, but you're told to be aggressive when you tackle. And he obviously is a lot stronger than the young fella that he tackled. And so that momentum you talked about, he slung him down.
But the ball...
Free kick against, guy got straight back up, all good, happy with that. But he's missing a week this week, and he's in my Supercoach team, so I'm filthy.
The ball carrier now, though, the person with the ball, fights the tackle a lot more. So if they
which you're told to do,
and try and get the ball out. Whereas 5-10 years ago, it was you just accept the tackle, so you'd fall down with them.
Yeah, rather than lay there.
Yeah, or you just collapse to the ground with them. So you knew you were going to the ground as well as the tackler did. Whereas now there's so much effort in standing up in the tackle that to get something that hard and rigid down, you actually have to put the amount of forces to get them over before they get rid of the ball.
You're getting very technical here, Dale.
It's really starting to piss me off as a general rule, to be completely honest with you, Heath, because I don't know what is expected of the tackler.
We don't want to see good players miss games of football. And miss out on chances to win Brownlows, even though it's an individual, so bad. But imagine Tom Green wins the Brownlow this year, and because of the tackle where the guy got straight back up and took his free kick, he doesn't get it. And then you have Taylor Adams.
He wouldn't have even thought
Zach Merritt
if you
missing
told
out
Taylor,
on Anzac Day.
You tell Taylor Adams he's getting suspended, I reckon he would have said, what for? There wasn't even a discussion point on the night during the game.
Imagine telling him he's missing Anzac Day for that.
Yeah, that hurts. It really does.
And Zach Merritt.
And Zach Merritt, who, of course, the new skipper at the Bombers as well.
Two teams sitting in the top 4.
But you are 100% correct. We don't want to see good players missing games on the potential outcome to cause injury. And I know that's where we're at the minute, but I think somewhere it might just loosen up a little bit come 4 or 5 more rounds or as we get closer to finals.
It's way too grey. There's grey, and this is dark grey.
Okay. I'm not sure if that helps. The Pies.
Yep.
What are we making of the Pies? This is the first time they've actually come up with some injury concerns. They haven't been able to pick their best 28 on paper, if you will, because of the injury concerns. Are you worried, or do you think that it's just all system and it's one in, one out for them?
It's all system, one in, one out, but sometimes there's better players in the system than others. And it's injuries to key players. Like I don't really rate ruckman that much.
No, neither.
But if you have a really, really good one, it's handy.
Correct. Or if you have one at all.
One will do. But then you go to your second ruck because everyone else is out, and then he gets injured.
You've given one away to another club.
Yeah, you may have made a little boo-boo there. And then Taylor Adams is out through suspension. And then they've got a couple other little injuries. Who else? Oh, concussion. Murphy, concussion.
To Murphy.
And it is testing their depth. I think they banked on the fact that they one in, one out, but it's to a certain degree, yes. But once you're dipping into the 31s, the 32s, the 33 players, then you're pushing it and coming up against Essendon, who have hit their straps and probably surprised a lot of people this year.
Surprised me. 4-1 for them for the start of the season. I thought when they beat the GWS Giants. No, last round.
Yep.
I was like, okay, well, you look at the next month of footy, it's going to be tough for them. They're not quite up to it. I thought they were sort of winning the games they should have, but they come out and they're dominant against Melbourne, and now they take on the Pies, who, and as we said, are beaten up, but also they've got a ruckman who is in fantastic form.
Oh, 2 ruckmen.
2. Yeah,
Big
take your pick. Yeah, Big Sauce. Did you have him at the...
We had him at the Giants, mate.
So
he was treading water in the reserves, and now he's had a new lease of life, I think, 5 times, Big Sauce.
Death metal enthusiast.
Yes.
And has a stingray on his foot.
Very quietly spoken.
Yeah.
But, yeah, different cat. Different cat.
We
but
love Big Phil.
He's always had the ability, I must admit, he's always had the ability. His ruck craft is good. And I think Brad Scott said during the week that he's very teachable. He wants to learn. And even to the nth degree where he has to be careful what he says to him because he will do it to the nth degree.
Proper sponge.
And I think on the weekend it showed. He must have given him some really, really good instructions, Bradley, because him and Big Sammy Draper got the job done against Grundy, and it helped the team massively. And I don't like pumping up ruckman that much.
No, and understandably, because every now and then when you give them a pump up, they make you look real silly real quick with something they do. Hey, thank you very much for joining us. You have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy Friday night footy tomorrow night.
Oh, I can't wait to go out for dinner and look at the results on my phone.
I will see you on Tuesday, but... if you want to, of course, join the conversation tomorrow when it is Lee Montagna and Nathan Broady talking all thing Tigs and if they are cooked or not. Jump on the Footy Talk Instagram at @FootyTalk_pod or at TikTok Footy Talk Pod. This has been That Just Show, the Footy Talk Pod.